Chicago, snowflakes, and the War of 1812 are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is December 27th, 2022. It is the 361st day of the year. You got 4 days left until New Year's. Today is the 52nd Tuesday in the 52nd week and the 7th day of winter. You got 83 days left until spring. If today's your birthday, you're a Capricorn. Today is Make a Cutout Snowflake Day. We were just doing this the other day here. My granddaughter was cutting out some snowflakes. Haven't seen that done in years since my kids were young. It's very simple to do. Take out your foil paper, construction paper, glitter scissors, and design templates if you have any. And then just cut out basic shapes or intricate patterns, whichever you prefer. There is no such thing as a bad paper snowflake. But yeah, I think those are just kind of a neat thing. I don't know if they do it in other countries, but it's just such an American thing to do around the holidays. And it's great. I don't know. I like paper snowflakes. All right, let's see what else December 27th has given us. 1703, Portugal and England signed the Matthew Treaty, which allows Portugal to export wines to England on favorable trade terms. 1814, the War of 1812, the destruction of the schooner USS Carolina brings to an end Commodore Daniel Patterson's makeshift fleet, which fought a series of delaying actions that contributed to Andrew Jackson's victory at the Battle of New Orleans. Yeah, that's pretty interesting that they just basically threw a bunch of ships at the British Navy at the time, which was the most powerful navy on the planet. They knew there was no way they were going to win and a lot of people would die. It was just there to delay the British. 1836, the worst ever avalanche in England occurs in Sussex, killing 8 people. 1845, ether anesthetic is used for childbirth for the first time by Dr. Crawford Long in Jefferson, Georgia. Before that, they just gave women like a piece of leather or a stick to bite down on to ease the pain. 1932, Radio City Music Hall, the showplace of the nation, opens in New York City. 1945, the International Monetary Fund is created with the signing of an agreement by 29 nations. 1968, the Apollo program, Apollo 8, splashes down in the Pacific Ocean, ending the first orbital crew mission to the moon. 1978, Spain becomes a democracy after 40 years of fascist dictatorship. So Spain is kind of an interesting situation. Most people just know Spain as the democracy that it is, but it really has had very few years in its existence where it was a democracy. I mean, they've had monarchies, they've had rebellions, and they've had a fascist dictator. And their fascist dictator did something very strange that not a lot of dictators get to do. He lived a full life. Most dictators get killed. The Spanish Civil War broke out in 1936. Part of the military carried out a coup d'etat that was triumphant in part of the country. The situation led to a civil war in which the territories were divided into 2 zones, one under the authority of the Republican government, and the other half was kind of reliant on Nazi Germany and fascist Italy. And on October 1st, 1936, General Francisco Franco was sworn in as the supreme leader of the rebels. This sort of brought together the Republican government and some anarchists that had brought around a social revolution of sorts. The Civil War in Spain claimed around 500,000 lives and caused the flight of about 500,000 citizens from the country. On April 1st, 1939, 5 months before the beginning of World War II, the rebels' side, led by Franco, came out on top of this one, and soon after, they imposed a dictatorship through all of Spain. This, of course, led to what all dictators do, some really shady stuff, including about 50 concentration camps. In between 350,000 and 500,000 prisoners were being held in these camps. The dictatorship and the camps also led to about 500,000 people leaving Spain for other countries, like refugees. They thought they had it bad in Spain, and it only got worse with World War II kicking off soon after. Franco stayed in power until his death in November of 1975. 3 years later, on December 27th, 1978, Spain becomes a democracy after 40 years of a dictator. Movies released on December 27th, 2002, Chicago. I didn't see this movie. I heard it was really good. It's a 6-time Academy Award-winning film, including Best Picture. It's set in the 1920s Chicago that centers on 2 murderers who await trial. It's a musical. It starred Richard Gere, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Queen Latifah was in it, Lucy Liu, Renee Zellweger. That girl had far too much plastic surgery. I mean, I understand you're in Hollywood. You need to maintain a certain amount of appearance to keep that money machine going, but she just went too far. She doesn't look like herself anymore. It's weird. The other one that did that was Erin Gray, I think her name was. She was in the 1980s, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. She played the sister, and then she was in Dirty Dancing and Red Dawn. Actually, her name was Jennifer Grey. She had a very distinct nose. It was a little bit big, and at some point she decided to get that fixed. Getting that fixed ruined her career. I'm not making an assumption. I saw her in an interview say that. Born on December 27th, Heather O'Rourke. Do you remember her? Do you know who she is? She was a child actress who starred as Carol Ann Freeling in Poltergeist and its sequel, who tragically died at the age of 12. She was personally selected by Steven Spielberg for the film Poltergeist. She's the little girl that had her hands on the TV and said, "They're here," and all that. It just freaked everyone out. Yeah. She died in surgery in 1988 after being misdiagnosed with Crohn's disease. There's some tragedies and there's some conspiracies about that movie that was actually cursed. A lot of people from that movie died. She died an early death. The girl that played her sister was killed by her boyfriend soon after the film was over. It's too bad. Just tragedy all the way around after that movie. Died on December 27, 2015, Haskell Wexler, director and cinematographer who worked on the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest starring Jack Nicholson. He briefly attended UC Berkeley and served as a U.S. Marine. He worked on the HBO film 61 starring Billy Crystal, which was nominated for an Emmy Award. He had 3 children. He also worked on the film Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf with Elizabeth Taylor. He worked as a cinematographer for Big Love, which I love that HBO show, Mulholland Falls, Canadian Bacon, which was a great movie, and was the director for photography for the movie Colors, which had Sean Penn and Robert Duvall. Haskell Wexler died in his sleep at the age of 93 on December 27, 2015 at his home in Santa Monica, California. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.